How is it going? I hope everyone is doing well, and thank you for tuning into this video. Today I'm here with my fourth installment of my WCW nWo 1998 pay-per-view rewind with my review of Spring Stampede, which was WCW's April pay-per-view that year. And without wasting any more time, go ahead and brighten the things. Of course, the thing that opened the show, or the match that opened the show, was Goldberg taking on Saturn, which I thought was actually a pretty decent opening match here. Goldberg is pretty dominant, getting his signature shit in. Saturn didn't seem as shitty as it usually does in this match, so that was kind of a surprise. It wasn't as sloppy as usual, so that was nice, but Goldberg gets a huge spear on Saturn for a near count. Goes set up for the jackhammer, but Saturn gets out of it. Goldberg gets a huge press off the second rope, which at that point the flock then descends into the ring. Goldberg takes all the members of the flock out, hits a huge spear on Kidman, which absolutely cuts him in half, it looks like. Saturn then takes advantage of Goldberg following that, puts him in the rings of Saturn, but Goldberg does the awesome counters the ring of Saturn into the jackhammer, hits it 1, 2, 3. Goldberg defeats Saturn, and will actually be challenging for the WCW US Heavyweight Championship the next night on Nitro. So yeah, big win for Goldberg. Well, not a big win, but pretty nice win for Goldberg. Nice match, and love the finish as well. So good way to start the show. Ultimo Dragon taking on Chavo Guerrero Jr. with, of course, Eddie Guerrero in his corner. Nice match here. Very map-based, very technical. Chavo, was getting worked on a good majority of it, would have a small glimpse of comebacks, but Ultimo Dragon would ultimately, Ultimo Dragon would ultimately, get the upper hand on Chavo once again. Eddie at ringside was fantastic, selling his disgust of Chavo's work, putting the towel over his head because he's embarrassed to be ringside of him. It was fantastic work, especially when Chavo hit a drop kick right into the nuts of Ultimo Dragon. Dragon's son that he's hurt. Eddie's just fucking going ballistic at ringside, yelling at Chavo to take advantage of it, beat his ass, but Chavo's like, no, he's hurt, wait for him to get better. And then Eddie's losing his fucking mind that he's not taking advantage of it. And then, of course, Chavo waits for him to get better. They go at it for a little bit. Chavo hits, some German suplexes followed by brainbuster for a near fall. But then Ultimo Dragon at the end up beating Chavo and pinning him, and Eddie just loses his absolute mind. So a pretty good match, actually probably the second best match on the entire show, honestly. So good stuff, and like I said, Eddie just losing his mind at ringside was definitely worth watching this match through. The WCW World Television Championship being defended, Booker T taking on Chris Benoit. This match had a no time limit because their two previous encounters went to a 10-minute time limit draw. So this match had no time limit. And it was a good match overall. Not as good as you would have expected from these two. Had great intensity from the get-go. Some great exchanges from the start. Booker T really, trying to get some kicks in while Benoit was really countering into submission holds. So some real good stuff. Benoit hits the diving headbutt for a great near fall. So some tremendous stuff. Booker T had his comeback. Was going for the scissors kick, but Chris Benoit brought a referee in. So not brought him in, but pulled him in, and then Booker ended up hitting the referee instead. So referee was down, ref bump, first one of the night. Benoit had the match won, had Booker T in the crossface. Looked like Booker T was tapping out, but they were disputing that Booker was crawling towards the rope and that he was pounding the mat to crawl towards it. So of course, as the bait, Benoit was claiming he tapped, thought he won. Booker T took advantage of it, hit the Harlem sidekick to retain the WCW World Television Championship. Good match, but not as good as they could have been capable of having. And of course, Benoit was having a fit afterwards, was pissed because Booker T, he thought, tapped and should be champion. So that was that. Curt Hennig with Rick Rude taking on the British Bulldog with Jim and Anvil Neidhart. Shit match, as you would expect from any Curt Hennig match in WCW. No heat to it. Both guys didn't care. Anvil and Rick Rude were handcuffed at ringside. Interference got involved. Rick Rude was able to get out of the handcuffs and handcuffed Anvil to the post. Got involved in the match. Curt Hennig got the win after he Irish whipped the British Bulldog into the corner and just pinned him. So very shit finish, and then Rick Rude worked on Bulldog afterwards. Just everything about it sucked. Nothing was good. Nothing was good about it. So yeah, just more Curt Hennig trash in WCW. WCW Cruiserweight Championship, Chris Jericho defending against Prince Iaukea. I don't know what the fuck WCW saw in Prince Iaukea back then, but he wasn't nearly as good as they tried to hype him up to be. But him and Jericho had a decent match. Jericho, was really coming into his character at the time in WCW, so his character work was great, and Iaukea was able to decently hold himself up against Jericho. Jericho got the victory off of the lion salt, celebrated. Iaukea took advantage, got a great near fall. Got like a legit 2.99 count on Jericho. Like, you would have legit thought that was a near fall, or was going to be it for that near fall. But Jericho, after a crossbody missed, Iaukea eats shit. Jericho locks in the lion tamer. Iaukea taps out. So Jericho retains the Cruiserweight Championship. Decent match, but just nothing really to it. Lex Luger and Rick Steiner taking on Scott Steiner and Buff Bagwell. Bagwell and Steiner at the very beginning try to get out of the match. We'll at least Buff Bagwell because his hand's poorly wrapped, saying that he's not clear to compete. J.J. Dillon comes out, says he's got a surgeon to determine whether he's cleared or not. Bagwell sells himself out, and the match happens because he's clear to compete. So that wasted a good 5 to 10 minutes of your time for absolutely nothing. The match itself actually isn't bad. I mean, it isn't terrible. It's a typical Lex Luger WCW match, just nothing really to it. It was a nice brawl, though, with Luger and Buff Bagwell, I'll say. They told a story, of course, where Scott Steiner didn't want to get in the ring with Rick Steiner. However, he got in the ring once, they had the upper hand. So if, Buff Bagwell was working on Rick pretty well, Scott would tag in, so he would be able to work on him for a good while, too. So that was the story they played in the match, and, they played Rick Steiner getting his hands on Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner just left Buff Bagwell to suffer, pretty much. He left him out to dry. Luger, torture rack, submission victory. So, not a terrible match, but, it's watchable. I'll say it. It's watchable. From there, we had a special bonus attraction match. Lopaka taking on Psychosis, because that just screams special attraction. It started off decent. It was all right, and then it just got sloppy. Lopaka became the biggest idiot. He had Psychosis beat about 15 times this match, but every time he'd pin him, before the 3 count, he'd lift him up. So he screwed himself because Psychosis gained the victory over Lopaka. And yeah, that was pretty much it. Nothing in the match. So much for special attraction bonus, but yeah, nothing to it. Just made Lopaka look stupid. That's all pretty much accomplished. The first ever bat match, which essentially is just a baseball and a pole match. Hollywood Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash taking on Roddy Piper and the Giant. Of course, Hogan and Nash having dissension. This is where the real split of the nWo happened, where they did nWo Hollywood and nWo Wolfpack. So this really was the start of it, and the match itself actually isn't terrible. You'd see this match, think it's garbage, but actually it was entertaining. I enjoyed it. I thought Piper did a fantastic job of selling you on the match. The crowd was red hot because Piper was really selling the crowd into the match. So Piper was the MVP without a doubt. Him and Hogan had pretty brief exchanges. Hogan getting the belt and wailing on Piper. Piper ended up retrieving the bat at one point, but Hogan, because the referee's distracted by Nash, throws the bat down, so the referee never saw the bat being retrieved. And as it's happening, the Cypher comes down and gives a bat to Hogan. So it looked like Hogan retrieved the bat. But Hogan never really used the bat because Piper fights back. Giant gets a hot tag, gets in the ring. Him and Giant go at it for a good while. Or Giant and Nash go at it for a good while. Piper back in. Disciple, distracts Piper once Piper gets the bat. Pulls the bat from Piper and throws another bat to Hogan. So Hogan waffles Piper with the bat, and Hogan pins Piper 1, 2, 3. Gets the win for him and Nash. So, yeah, like I said, not terrible. It's watchable. It's entertaining. I'll say that. Piper, like I said, MVP, really does a great job selling onto the match. But, besides that typical WCW bullshit, especially at the end, Hogan's yelling at Nash to, give the powerbomb to the Giant. Nash goes to the powerbomb, but as he does that, Hogan waffles him with the bat. So, like I said, the dissension of the nWo really tore right there with Nash and Hogan. From there, we go to the Ravens Rules match for the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship. DDP defending against Raven. This match started off really well. I actually really enjoyed it at the very beginning. They did a great brawl into the set. They did some great bumps, growing through the set, whether it's a cargo or, the little railing set up. They had the whole Western theme to it, of course, the Spring Stampede. I thought they did a fantastic job starting it. But then once the match got back towards the ring, Diamond Dallas Page is closing in the win. The flock hit the ring, and then it kind of just became more of DDP defending off the flock, while Raven just sat in a corner for a good little while. So the match kind of became disappointing after that. But DDP did hit a fantastic diamond cutter on Billy Kidman. Fantastic diamond cutter on Kidman. Raven hits DDT. DDP kicks out, hits diamond cutter, but then gets waffled with a stop sign by someone dressed as security. And then Raven hits the DDT on to DDP to win the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship. like I said, it started off really well, but then it kind of went downhill once the Flock got heavily involved. Like I said, it just came off mainly DDP fending off the Flock while Raven just sat in the corner for like 5 minutes. So that got kind of annoying, but it was a good match nonetheless. I'd say it matched the night still, either way. Obviously, Raven winning didn't mean jack shit because he just lost the title to Goldberg the next night when Goldberg destroyed him. So Raven winning here didn't really matter in the long run. It was a complete transitional champion move, but yeah, the match could have been better off without the huge Flock of interference. And then, of course, go to the no disqualification match for the WCW Heavyweight Championship. Sting, of course, defending against Macho Man Randy Savage. It was okay. The match started off well. They're brawling throughout the crowd at ringside area. Didn't really utilize the no DQ stipulation. Miss Elizabeth got involved, but then she ended up getting waffled by Sting at one point by accident when Sting hit the Stinger Splash, so he took her out. Stinger splashed the referee too, so the referee's out, which only in WCW can you have a no disqualification match, but still do ref bumps in order to get people to interfere. Makes total, complete, utter fucking sense, right? Referee is down, nWo hits the ring. Savage, sets Sting up for the elbow drop, but Hogan pushes Savage down. Sting has the win with the death drop, Scorpion death drop, but then Nash comes in and breaks the pin up, even though the referee's down, so the referee's not even counting the pin. Hits a jackknife powerbomb on Sting, hits out of the ring. Macho Man covers Sting. 1, 2, 3. The Macho Man Randy Savage is your brand new WCW World Heavyweight Champion. Like I said, I just thought it started off well, but then your illogical WCW booking kicked in where they did a ref bump in a no DQ match in order to have interference happen. So that made absolutely no sense. And of course, like I said, Nash break up the pin when there's no referee present. That is hilarious, but whatever. Macho Man wins the championship. Kind of like Raven, doesn't even matter because, of course, the next night on Nitro, he dropped the title to Hulk Hogan anyway. So Macho Man winning essentially meant jack shit. So yeah, that was their way of closing Spring Stampede. Overall, I gotta say, not a terrible show, but not a good show by any means. It was all right. It was more of a Nitro than anything else. Just, yeah, like, not a terrible. I mean, there's bad stuff, but there's definitely some good stuff. But there's nothing great. There's nothing going out of your way worth seeing. I'll say that. But overall, not a terrible show, but not a good show by any means. Kind of in the middle of it. Just, it's a decent show, I guess. It's borderline decent. I'll say that. It's borderline decent. That's the best way I can put the show overall. So yeah, Spring Stampede, decent pay-per-view, nothing to it, not a good show, definitely the worst pay-per-view so far in this pay-per-view rewind. I know I'm only 4 pay-per-views into it, but obviously this is the worst one I'd say out of the 4 I've watched so far. But yeah, Slamboree's next, so I don't know. I think that show can top this one as the worst pay-per-view, so we'll have to stay tuned for that. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, please feel free to leave a like below, and of course, the next time, I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for watching the video.